people who judge without knowing, just throw the peace on, tell them good vibes only, yeah. They were hating, but we didn't even notice, cause we're on them good vibes only.
How you guys doing today? My name is Jessica Johnson from Western Michigan, and who I have with me is Bonnie Burd. I'm so excited to see her here today because she is a person that really resonates with what I get into, the Akashic Records. And we're going to have her explain what that is, because a lot of people are like, what are the Akashic Records? What entails with all that? And I'm sure a lot of you probably have a lot of questions, which we're going to try to answer on what kind of typical questions that people would ask. And she did a reading on me. The funny thing about that reading was that we had so much energy that was fluctuating in that room that we were in at Choices, and it kept shutting off my video camera. Then on the footage that was captured, it had no audio. So you will wind up seeing some of that reading, even though you won't be able to hear anything, but it gives you a glimpse in what Bonnie does for other people, which is she gives people answers. She helps them find those answers, and she takes them through that journey to find what it is that is going to help you so you can excel. Bonnie, I know I kind of introduced yourself, so go right ahead if there's anything I've left out.
No, you pretty much said what I do. I'm a wellness practitioner, and I work with the Akashic Records, and I'm also a Reiki Master Teacher, and teach angel classes and stuff like that. So yeah, you pretty much said what I do.
All right. Yes, that's cool.
Yeah.
So, tell us a little bit about the Akashic Records. What are the Akashic Records, and what are the mysteries that we wind up finding within?
It's a recording or consciousness of every feeling, every moment, it also records every sense that you have. It doesn't just record whatever happened in your life or your lifetime. It records the feelings, the senses, the smell, every layer of it. And it's in every lifetime, from the minute you take your first breath until you take your last. So all your lessons, everything that you need to know is in there. And so it's all interconnected because you're connected to all your aspects. So it's just like layer after layer. When you go in and do quantum coaching, you take them in, they talk about what exactly that's been holding them back. And then we ask our angels and guides to take us to the point where it began, for the very first lifetime when that problem began. And then when we go there and you see what happened there, the angels and the guides, they help you heal that and release that. And then then they allow you to see the higher timeline. So if that didn't occur in that lifetime, they show you what would happen, what kind of life you would have led. But every lifetime has a higher one and a lower one. So they just show you what would happen if you didn't start that timeline going this way.
When you had said about different aspects and everything else, is it like their past lives and everything else, the things that basically has held them back, even like lifetimes that they had spent in other periods of basically their creation and what they were from the start of them being created as that energetic entity?
Yeah. Well, it's because there's really, when you get down to it, there's really no such thing as past, present, and future. Time's all happening at the same time. But the only way to explain it is to say before this lifetime, before this aspect that you're in now. But you're all interconnected with karma, and so when you heal one part of it, then it heals this part of it. So it'll help. It's within your DNA. So when you do something, and it also helps your kids, because you heal it from that point where it started. It goes through your DNA, which is also in your kids. So every time you go in and heal something, you're healing a big chunk of karma and things that will help you move forward in your lifetime.
And basically turning, I don't know, what's that back feed? Basically turning that karma into dharma, and basically, changing, because it does. It can follow not only your lifetime, but it can also follow the lifetime of your family, of what you have been chosen to be born into. But also, too, isn't it true that with the Akashic Records, that it also tells the history of this planet, and everything in it? So
it's a record of every single thing that has ever happened here on Earth. And it's only on Earth for the lifetimes here. You have Akashic Records for other galactic places, but the Earth is here.
Right. And how I've always visioned the Akashic Records, it's more of a vibration, but it's also that consciousness vibration, but it's also like the universe's internet. Like if you, it's like the Google of the universe. Like if you want to know something particular, it's like you just put it out there, the intent, and you get that download of what that is. I've done it many times when I wanted to know certain things about the history of whether it be a certain galactic planet or whether it be this, what happened to this planet and everything else. It helps me to get understanding, and to understand exactly what it is. But what I've seen a lot of people who go to people like yourself who do read from the Akashic Records, that it also helps release them from whatever's been holding them back and give them that understanding.
Well, it's the knowing, whenever you intuitively ask a question and the answer comes in, it's connected to that. It's the knowing. It's the record of the all. Pretty much in the end, it's the record of all that ever was.
And all that
ever will be. Yeah. It's pretty amazing, and it's there's many different ways to enter. I mean, because my guides, they don't always do it the same way every time, because it just depends on how that person is made up and what they resonate with and who they feel safe with and all that. So you just kind of like you just guide it every time. You just don't know what's going to happen every time you do it. That's why it's so much fun.
That's the fun part. Basically, also too, what got you started into looking into the Akashic Records?
Well, because I went to Southwest Institute of Healing Arts, and I went for the Wellness Practitioner program. And within the Wellness Practitioner program, there is hypnotherapy and regression. And you just learn more about it. Well, when you're doing hypnotherapy with someone, they slip into other lives all the time, even when you're not trying to do it. So gets you more and more interested. So then you finally are like, what is this? I want to learn more about it. So then you'd go and you learn more about it. So that's why I ended up doing it that way.
And it's beautiful to do, because I mean, healers have, their what they do and everything. But when I came to you, it was just like I had no idea what I was getting myself into, what was going to happen, or anything like that. And I'm a very analytical person. It's like I want to know, what but it doesn't always be shown to me. But I had an awesome time, and it would have been a beautiful footage if we were allowed to be able to record it.
I know, it was beautiful. But your read was beautiful.
And and it was just like it was like even though you have told me things that that I already knew, but the journey was magical. The journey in itself was absolutely magical, and that's what I enjoyed about it. And that's why I was like, wow, not everybody is able to take you through that regression like you do, because what I found it unique with you is that some people just say, this is what it is, but you take them through that journey. You're a part of the process. You're almost like that guide. And you take them through this journey. And that's what makes it so beautiful, because they're going on their, within themselves and going to opening these doors and finding these different hallways and everything else. And it's just a beautiful process. It truly is. And I had lots of fun, and we had so much energy swimming around in that room. It was unbelievable.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I find that when people see it for themselves, it seems to help them, because I get the knowing, and I don't always do, but sometimes I'll get a knowing about a lifetime while I'm working with them. But it seems like when they go in and actually see it for themselves, they don't doubt it. They don't doubt, and also the healing, because the healing that occurs afterwards, because usually what happens when you do the read and you go and see what happened, the angels and the guides will take you to the healing room to release it, and you end up releasing, if it's heart trauma or whatever trauma it is, they help you release it, and they do a healing with high energies and lots of vibration and technology that way. And so after they do that healing, then they come back and then they allow them to see the higher timeline. And so it's always different for every person, because you never know what they're going to need. I kind of guide them there. It's almost like I take them there, and then their guides and angels take it from there, and I'm just walking along with them and just, seeing, listening and saying repeating what they're saying, channeling what they're saying. So,
and that's the beautiful part about it, is that that you're able to walk with them, through the process, as like that friend, that's just walking along that path, and going, here you are, and everything. And it is very much like a guided meditation. I know years ago when I started meditating, my mind was all over the place. I couldn't concentrate, as most people deal with that type of problem when they wind up first meditating. They can't get themselves settled down. Their mind is just going in all different points. But that guided meditation was like my first like tricycle, or like the training wheels, because I was able to, with guided meditations, I was able to, not, lower everything to where I wasn't like shooting my mind going all over the place. I was able to calm myself. And that's basically how it is. You make it so simple, and in regards to guiding them through it, and within like that guided meditation.
Well, I think because we start with the breath, and they're so busy thinking about breathing, and they're releasing energy in the beginning, right, to begin with, that it starts to connect them. They start going within because they're breathing. Exactly. And it's exactly what they started when I started working with my guides. That's what they always wanted me to start with, because it connects them to their body to go with that.
And it does.
Yeah.
It does. Breathing, you never realize what breathing actually does to us. And it does. It connects us to, it connects us to within, but also breathing also connects us to the planet when we're meditating outside. Let's say we're grounding, and when we breathe, we're actually connecting ourselves, because we're like walking antennas. And it's like we connect from the core of the earth, and we also connect above, which is the universe. As above, so below. So the thing is that through breath, we're doing that. And we don't, and that's why breathing is just so important when it comes to a lot of energy work that is being done is from breathing. Exactly,
because the first thing you do when you come here is take your first breath. And that's your connection to spirit. And the last thing you do is take a breath and exhale it. So, I mean, that's your spiritual connection completely. And it connects you to the trees, because they They have the, the oxygen, but not even just that. It's their energy you also connect to, and it's just way more than what people think it is. It just is.
It is. It is. Well, I do appreciate you coming on and talking about the Akashic Records. We will be doing more interviews and everything else. And like I said, just your knowledge and your energy and how you present things in the most simplest forms and how you help people, because you truly do. People don't realize what we have that's anchoring us in, those attachments that's anchoring us in and keeping us from doing what we're set here to do, and in our lives, whether that's to experience, whether that's to heal others, whether that's to help others, and helping people find out what that is that's preventing them from doing what they are here in their lifetime to experience. That is just a blessing in itself. And that's why I love watching so many of you healers, because each one of you brings something to the table that helps so many different people. And anytime that you guys want to any type of reads from Bonnie and learning what that is, her information will be on the comments of this video and everything, so you can get a hold of her if you're just wanting to be curious on the Akashic Records and what lies within the mysteries and secrets that you have within.
Well, the Akashic reads are also a tool for your shadow work. Right now, we're trying to let go of all the shadows. And so when you do that, every time you let go of something, then it not only heals you, but it heals your aspects too, because it's in their Akash. So if you heal something here, you also heal. It goes the same way. It goes backwards. And so with this high energy and everything that we're dealing with right now, the more you can release, the better. So when you do your shadow work and release things, then you have more room for light and wisdom, and it helps you on the ascension.
So you did mention one thing about what's going on now. Okay, what are you finding that that people are experiencing now, as things are we're going through right now, energy-wise, is picking up in frequency, and that's why a lot of people are awakening. It's because you got also the catalyst of what's going on around us, outside of us, and the higher frequency. So what are you finding within that you have experienced that people have been dealing with?
I feel the higher energies are their heart traumas, their woundings are all coming to the surface, and they don't really know how to release it. Usually when someone has a session with me, they'll say, I have all this emotional feelings. I don't know how to let it go. And people are saying, do shadow work. And then when they ask what shadow work is letting go of emotions and things in the past. And they're like, but I don't know how to do it.
Yeah.
And so that's when you take them into the Akashic Records, and it'll take them to the exact point to when it started, whatever lifetime it is. They'll take them right to the first one, and then they'll see what happened and understand it. And then after they go through their healing and cord cutting, because usually Archangel Michael comes in and cuts the cords, helps them release all the pain and suffering. They also do a soul recovery. They let go of everything they let go of the people that they kept captive in their heart. So the aspects get their soul back, clear and cleansed. And then what they gave to them during the upset, they get that back, clear and cleansed. So it's a soul recovery too. So, I mean, it's a whole lot of things going on at once. So after you have a session, my guys have told me to tell people that it's up to them when they feel ready to take the second session. Because you go through, it's almost like an attunement. You're going through a release of energy and a wounding and a healing. And until you emotionally feel better, like you feel good and strong enough to do another one, then you do another one. And only the person knows that.
Right.
But everybody who does one is so happy. and feel so light after doing one. They feel like a boulder was taken out of their heart, and they just feel so much better. So it gets easier and easier as they do it, but the first one is really pretty dramatic.
Yeah, that's the hardest one. I know when I did a lot of energy work myself, um, as I went along, the first one was always the most aggressive one. And it was just like when I went through a lot of energy work and clearing my heart, especially the core and everything, and getting all that rooted out. And then going from there to the next one, to the next one, to the next one, it was rough. It was rough. And there was definitely a lot of shadow work that was happening in between those times, because then after one layer was ripped off, now it's like, okay, here that is. Now you got to understand it for what it is and release it. And that's always the hardest. And you're right. A lot of people don't know how to release that and get rid of that.
Well, I mean, because if you can't release the stories, I mean, you could say, I'm done with that, I forgive them for that, but then the story's still here. And then you replay it over and over again, then you haven't really released it.
Exactly.
When you're healed, you can't remember the story word for word.
Exactly.
You could probably say, well, this happened to me, but they can't go at this time, this and that. Usually when it's a really bad wounding, they can tell you every detail of what happened that day. Right. And but once they go through a healing, they can't recall it like that.
Exactly. And that's what I found on a lot of my different trauma, is that when people would ask me certain things of what you've been through, they're like, wow, you've been through this. And then I would try to remember to tell the story, and it's just like, I can't recall it as crystal clear. So you're exactly right. I'm glad you had mentioned that.
And it's also different with your emotions too, because you aren't emotional when you tell the story. It's the matter of fact. It's like, this happened and that's that. Mm-hmm. You don't cry, you don't feel upset. Then you don't feel.
Exactly. And people are looking at you going, you should be absolutely mortified. No, it is what it is. I learned lessons through this. And trust me, I went through all the whole upset and crying and everything else, and when you release it, you don't have that connection to it. So when you're telling it, you're just, there it is.
Yeah.
And this is what I've learned. So yeah, that's I'm so glad that you had mentioned that, because a lot of people don't understand. They think that they have healed, but it's still there.
If they can tell the story and still feel the emotion, then it's not healed yet.
Exactly.
It's when they can do it with no emotion, then it's healed. And a lot of people will say, or not, traumas that aren't even remembered, they're stuffed into the body too. Mm-hmm. So during this kind of thing, when you don't even know what it is, and they take you to the other lifetime where it started, then it triggers what they didn't want to hear, what they stuffed away because they didn't want to, their mind couldn't handle whatever it was. So it'll trigger that to come up to be healed, and then you release that too, and let it all go emotionally and energy. And once you've done that, then it takes a while, because after you do that, it takes, I would say, 3 to 4 weeks before you start feeling. Usually it's about a month before someone calls me again. They start feeling themselves again, and they don't feel sad anymore. Then they realize that they've healed from it.
Well, it's also like an onion layer, and it's like when you peel off one layer of it, then you got to work on the next layer, and it does take time. It's a process. Everything's a process in life. Mm-hmm. And then they come back and they're like, okay, I already got that dealt with. Now it's this one, then it's this one, then it's this one, So, once you get through it all, you actually do feel lighter. You feel like yourself, and you don't react to certain things in your outside world. Someone could be belligerent or whatnot, and you're not going to react the same way. You're going to be somewhat upset, but you're not going to be like explosive as some people do get when they haven't worked through these things.
Well, you kind of release the victim mentality. You release
Mm-hmm.
that, you know. It's usually if something, everybody wants to look at everyone else when they're feeling upset about something. If somebody has upset you, it's something within you that it's poking at.
Mm-hmm.
And when you find out what that is and release it, then they can't. Then you bring your power back, so they can't do that to you anymore.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, thank you so much. You have got a wealth of information. Absolutely. Is there anything that you would like to send off to the audience? Any advice or anything like that um, to uh, to basically bring about this video?
I'm just well, if you're somebody who has had the same problem over and over again, and it just repeats itself, then Akashic Reads would be something that you'd like to should do to look into to help you release that permanently, so that you can move forward and be who you came here to be. And it'll help you with. Um, there's just all kind. There you can just do Akashic Records just to see who you were. I mean, like if you're a healer and you want to know what other gifts did you have in other lifetimes that's in your Akash that may someday open. You could go back and see that. I mean, it doesn't all have to be about pain and suffering. You could do it just because you're curious.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's pretty much, you know, what I can say about it.
Well, thank you so much, Bonnie. I really do appreciate you coming on. And like I said, look out for this woman because she'll be on my shows quite often. You guys have a wonderful day. And thank you for joining us. God bless you all. And we honor you. Thank you.